Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a topic that honestly can feel like a massive chore, but actually holds the potential for some real magic. We're talking about second grade writing. The goal here is super simple. We are going to take writing from a frustrating, tear-inducing task and transform it into a really fun, bonding experience for second graders and the adults helping them out. So whether you're a parent sitting at the kitchen table or a teacher in the classroom, consider This Explainer your ultimate toolkit. Okay, let's dive into this. We have a fantastic roadmap for today. We'll start with the second grade leap, then we'll look at sparking imagination with prompts, building strong writing mechanics, fun games and activities, and finally, fostering a supportive environment. So how do we make kids actually love writing? It's the ultimate question, right? Look, if you've ever sat next to a 7 or 8-year-old who's just staring blankly at a piece of paper, you know exactly what this struggle looks like. The endless pencil tapping, the heavy sighs. Suddenly they desperately need a snack. It's the classic hurdle. We want them to love expressing themselves, but getting those very first words down, it can literally feel like pulling teeth. So how do we bridge that gap? Well, this toolkit is designed to take the sheer chaos of writing advice and break it down into digestible, actionable steps you can start using today. Section 1. The second grade leap. Moving from sentences to complex thoughts. To really get a handle on this, we first need to understand the developmental stage we're actually working with here. Second grade is a massively critical window. Kids are fine-tuning their motor skills, their vocabularies are just exploding, and they're finally learning how to organize their thoughts coherently. And the stakes? They're real. Get this. Research from the National Assessment of Educational Progress shows that students who use structured writing prompts show a 23% higher proficiency in language arts by the time they hit third grade. I mean, 23%. That is a massive advantage. These prompts act as scaffolding. They let young learners express their ideas without getting completely paralyzed by that terrifying blank page. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's set some realistic expectations here, because a second grader definitely doesn't need to be writing a novel. Daily practice of just 10 to 15 minutes is really the sweet spot for building that fluency. For simple prompts, we're talking just 3 to 5 complete sentences. That's it. As they get more comfortable, they might stretch that to 1 or 2 paragraphs for, slightly more complex topics. The ultimate goal, let's say by spring of 2025, is for them to comfortably write about 50 to 100 words. Keeping these numbers in mind is huge because it takes the pressure off, both for the kid and for you. Section 2, Sparking Imagination with Prompts, the Why to How pipeline. So now that we have our baseline expectations set, let's grab our first tool. I absolutely love this quote from E.L. Doctorow. Writing is an exploration. You start from nothing and learn as you go. Think of this as a bit of a mental palate cleanser. A prompt isn't some rigid test question you have to get right. It's an invitation to explore. The whole point here is to guide their creative subconscious and, honestly, just build up their confidence. You plant a tiny seed of an idea, and you step back and let their imagination run wild. So let's break down the different flavors of prompts you can use, because variety is definitely the spice of life, and learning for sure. First up, narrative prompts. These are all about developing fundamental storytelling and sequencing. Imagine telling your kid, hey, you just found a magical key in your backyard. Boom! Suddenly they're crafting beginnings, middles, and ends. Next, informational prompts. These are great for scientific thinking and research. A prompt like, explain how to take care of a pet, gets them actively organizing facts and laying out information clearly. And finally, opinion prompts. These are pure gold for critical thinking and persuasion. Should students have longer recess? Trust me on this one. Every single second grader has a very strong opinion about recess, and getting them to write it down teaches them how to persuade people and back up their ideas with actual reasons. Section 3, Building Strong Writing Mechanics. Balancing the magic with the math. Okay, so once we've sparked all that amazing imagination, we do have to talk about the structure that holds it up. We're shifting from the right brain creativity side to the left brain concrete rules. And the very first thing we need to clear up is this concept of invented spelling. This is essentially sound-based, non-conventional spelling, where kids just create their own spelling based on what they've learned so far. Listen, if your child spells butterfly as butterfly, do not panic. I really want to reassure you here. Creative spelling is a completely normal, actually really healthy indicator of early literacy. It means they're actively applying phonics rules. As they read more, the conventional spelling will absolutely follow. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can easily help them level up their language. Instead of using those tired, boring words like nice, big, or said, you can help them swap in some really exciting alternatives. Nice becomes generous or lovely. Big transforms into enormous or massive. And instead of just said, maybe the hero whispered or shouted. Prompting them to grab a stronger adjective or verb completely transforms the sentence and makes the whole writing process feel so much more colorful and dynamic. Now, as they start stringing all these colorful sentences together, we get to introduce the secret recipe for a paragraph. It's really just 3 simple steps. First, the topic sentence, like, dogs make wonderful pets. Second, supporting details. Dogs are friendly and playful. And third, a closing sentence. That is why I love dogs. By teaching them to use simple transition words like first, next, and finally, and by breaking paragraphs into these 3 specific chunks, what seems like a really complex idea suddenly looks incredibly simple and totally doable to a 7-year-old. Section 4, Fun Games and Activities. Learning so good, it feels like play. Let's get into the application phase. Doing writing activities can actually be an incredibly fun way to bond. I'm going to rapid fire a few ideas you can start using literally today. First up, the journal jar. You just decorate an old jar, fill it with random prompts, and have them pull one out every day. It adds this great element of surprise. Then we have the fortunately, unfortunately game. You just take turns writing sentences, like, fortunately, it was sunny. Unfortunately, the playground was covered in lava. It's hilarious, and it totally sneaks in sequencing practice. Finally, making an I Can book, where they draw and write about new milestones they hit. These games are amazing because they secretly trick kids into practicing narrative structure and logic while they just think they're having a blast. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the specific genius of the Tell Me How alien game. In this one, your child has to write step-by-step instructions for an alien who knows absolutely zero about Earth. So, if they write put toothpaste on the brush, but completely forget to tell the alien to take the cap off the tube first, well, the alien makes a massive mess. This game is phenomenally effective. It builds up those transition words, very specific vocabulary, and procedural logic. But it does it in a way that feels like a ridiculous comedy sketch instead of homework. Section 5. Fostering a supportive environment. Be a coach, not a strict grader. We've finally arrived at what is arguably the most important tool in the entire toolkit, emotional support. Let's look at this absolutely beautiful quote from E.B. White. He says, "Writing is an act of faith, not a trick of grammar." Let that be a palate cleanser to powerfully shift your mindset today. When your second grader hands you their paper, I want you to literally put away the red pen. Step back from the harsh grading and the need for perfection. Your main job here is to nurture their unique voice and just celebrate the fact that they're making an effort to communicate. The grammar, it's going to refine itself over time. But that courage to put words on a page, that's what needs protecting right now. So how do we actually do this practically? First, like we just said, do not overcorrect. Getting a paper back that's just bleeding red ink is so discouraging. Instead, try having them read their work out loud to you. You'll be blown away by how quickly they'll naturally catch their own awkward phrasing just by hearing themselves say it. When you do give feedback, try focusing on just 1 or 2 specific skills per assignment. Like maybe today we're only looking at capitalizing the first letter of our sentences, and we ignore everything else. And above all, celebrate those small wins. Editing and revising should feel like a positive habit that just makes their ideas shine brighter, not a punishment because they made a mistake. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today, from types of prompts right down to the goofy games you can play. By creating a supportive environment and making the mechanics accessible, you are quite literally handing a young learner the key to unlock their own imagination. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If you give your child the right tools today, what will their first great story be about tomorrow? Go grab a pencil, pull up a chair right next to them, and find out together. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy writing!